This is the Housing Sector Podcast, Episode 1, Why Bother?
Hello, welcome to the first Housing Sector Podcast. The first episode we are looking at why bother? Why bother setting up a podcast? And in this episode, I will try and answer those questions.
Part 1, SEO and AI.
First answer is quite a simple one, SEO. Now, when I started out with my Green Square Accord residence website, supporting residents of Green Square Accord, I remember in about the third week, I had 12 unique visitors, which was an absolute milestone. Now, obviously, we get thousands and we rank up on Google. With the housing sector, still ranked very high on Google, tends to be more housing insiders because a lot of it comes from LinkedIn. But a lot of traffic is generated from the directory that I have on there and, of course, the blogs and the posts that I make. Now, whenever we're writing a blog or an issue, highlighting an issue with Green Square Accord or a blog on housing sector, within there are multiple keywords which will help Google establish, and other search engines establish, what the content is about and what the website is about, and therefore it helps drive traffic through. Now, with the amazing advent of AI, now when I write a blog, being a dyslexic person, I will dictate that blog into pages via a microphone. That's dictated. I then do a rough edit to make sure it's what I said. That then goes into AI for AI to do a sort of polish to it, if you like, do a grammar check, make sure it's punctuated properly, because you don't get that with the dictation necessarily. So it does that, and then it'll come back to me. I'll do a rewrite, make sure it's right, make sure I've got the content that I want, make sure I added all the points, and then give it back to AI for AI to do a final proofread. But many people out there can now instantly write a blog about whatever they like. They could write a blog about R2-D2. Please write me a blog about R2-D2. It must include where he came from, yiddle and yaddle. And AI will gladly do that, and then they can upload that to the website. So as more and more people are doing this, we need to think more carefully about the SEO. One of the great ways of doing that is a video, although I could get a far better looking avatar, AI-generated avatar, to sit here, and I could get an AI voice to do all of this, and you wouldn't have to look at or listen to me, which would probably be a godsend. It's harder to do for people. So, and again, with YouTube, when you're uploading a video to YouTube, you get all those great words that you can put in the description, which of course is Google, so it all ranks on your website better. The other thing is that I'm going to take this video and I'm going to take the audio into a podcast, which again gives me multiple more platforms to put this out on. And then again, this video I can take from long form into short form videos, which I can upload to TikTok, Facebook, YouTube Shorts, all of that. Again, it gives us another target audience. It's another way, another avenue. So whilst my own provider, for example, Green Square Accord, are reducing the amount of platforms they appear on because of the negativity that is associated with them whenever they put something on there. They've come off of Twitter, or X as you want to call it, because people complained on there. And although Ruth Cook likes to complain on there about her own holidays, she doesn't want her customers complaining. So as they come off platforms, we're actually going to go on more platforms. So it's going to help reach a bigger audience. It's going to help generate some more SEO, and it puts more content out there. That is why, reason number 1.
Part 2, the resident's voice.
The second reason is giving a voice to the residents. Now, when I started off with a Green Square Accord residents website, that was great. It was focused on people, my neighbours, myself, my neighbours, local community. But as we built that SEO, as I explained, it grew and grew. And now we get multiple contacts every week regarding multiple ongoing issues affecting the residents of Green Square Accord. When I started the housing sector website, I really wanted somewhere that would bridge a gap between providers and residents. And that was the intention. And it was a perfectly good intention. It was more solution-based. You can see that from all the blogs that I write. The blogs are more about providing solutions, providing support, providing insights, all from a resident's perspective. However, although this has garnered me a lot of support, it garners me a lot of silent support. And look, I'm not about taking a meal off your table. If you work within the sector, you can't speak out. I get that. I know that. It doesn't help me. It doesn't help the residents when you sit silently and go, I agree with you, but mum's the word, not going to put it online because, I'm part of the problem. And you are part of the problem. And that's something for you to sort out in your own life, at your own thing. I mean, that's your karma. There are so many great people doing so much great within the sector, but they tend to be at this level. Once you get to sort of senior level and above, sort of directorship, then you're just part of the problem, and you're happily taking sometimes wages that you wouldn't get in every other sectors, and for outputs that you wouldn't be able to just get away with in other sectors. So the housing sector, although it's starting out positive, it's clear that I am not invited to your table, and the reason I'm not invited to your table is because I'm too open, I'm too honest, and guilty as charged. And I get people messaging me, giving all sorts of, well, you need to not do that, you need to not say that. Well, do you know what? There are lots of people not saying that and not doing that. What we actually need is someone who is saying that and who is doing that. And here it is. So we're setting up this because the housing sector podcast, once we gain that audience, it's going to take time. It never happens as quick as you like, but then it's also quite surprising at how quick it does happen to find that audience, to gain those supporters. Once that happens, then we've got a platform where we can continue to raise and push out the issues, as we have been doing for Green Square Accord and on the housing sector. And we can also bring in solutions and people who can fix things as well. So it's still that same stage, it's that platform. It's just reaching a larger target audience. Okay, and that leads us on to point number 3.
Part 3, the Steve Hayes situation.
Steve Hayes. Now, look, I've never met the man, and people might think, and I know ITV have accused him of being very personal attacks against me. I've never met the man. I think he's a bit weak. I think he lacks integrity. But again, he's taken on a job where he is to bolster the reputation, to sing the praises of a failing housing provider. Now, while he can spend, Green Square Accord can spend their wage, and he can spend his time talking about how great they are and what noble efforts they make. It's just not true, is it? And we prove that time and time again. But the Steve Hayes situation and myself, and again, I've never spoken to the man. I have reached out to him multiple times. So look, sit down, let's have a talk, let's have a conversation. He is a communication hero, but comms for him goes one way. It's not a personal attack. And then I'll go on to personally attack him. He's kind of needs to be the centre of attention. I don't know. Perhaps it's being told how great he is all his life as a child. I don't know what the deep-rooted problem is. We need to talk to someone who has an understanding of the psychology better than I do. However, he promotes himself as a comms hero. He likes to do these speaks. He likes to do these events. However, he's the only one that is allowed to. So the first time I came into contact with him properly was when Matt invited me to do the social housing roundtable. It was a great invite about, 3 or 4 years ago now. It preceded lockdowns, it could have been longer. And as soon as Matt had a conversation with me, we had a phone call, we agreed an outline of what I would discuss. We would agreed that it wouldn't be necessarily about Green Square Accord because the issues that I was raising were affecting multiple residents across multiple providers. So it was to be a sort of customer experience, as Matt had liked what I had been posting and what I'd been writing. As soon as Matt advertised this online, Steve Hayes contacted him. Well, you can't do that. You can't have that. And Matt, who used intelligence, he said, well, actually, we can do that. And then Matt and I had another call in which he said, look, we're not going to slag off Green Square Accord, are we? Because, no, we'd already agreed, so that was fine. Matt, being an intelligent man, made an informed decision, and the Social Housing Roundtable event went ahead. And hurrah for Matt. The next one I remember would have been being invited by the Chartered Institute of Housing to speak at their Brighton conference, not the one that's gone, the one before. Yeah, jumped at the opportunity. And then Steve Hayes from Green Square Accord got involved. It might have been Reeve Cook, but it definitely came from Green Square Accord, as acknowledged by them, as acknowledged by the Chartered Institute of Housing. And they said, no, we can't have you because of legal action. Now, this legal action is the trumped-up charge that they keep using and keep spinning out. There is no legal action pending. I got a court date on the 6th of August. The case was dismissed. They're now claiming that I've breached an undertaking, and my lawyers told them, well, he hasn't, and their lawyers have gone, well, he hasn't really acted in the spirit of things, has he? In the spirit of the undertakings, which basically means we didn't get what we wanted on the day. It cost us a lot of money. We kind of need to save face a little bit. So now we're just going to keep spreading stuff on, because as soon as we do, the legal action, can't talk about him, legal action, keep legal action. It's all bullshit. Don't fall for it. Anyway, the Chartered Institute went, oh no, we can't have you on there. Green Square Accord, legal action, can't do that. I was also invited to upload a piece to their online digital magazine, whatever that was called. And again, they went, oh no, we can't have that. Legal action, Green Square Court have called in ranks. We can't do that. ITV were the next one. Perhaps in later episodes we'll have more polish and charisma and I won't have to have cups of tea. ITV, I was up travelling up north in my camper van doing some other work. And I got this call out of the blue. This was after the housing ombudsman had found in my favour and given myself almost £3,000 and residents, up to almost 40 residents, £1,200 each for all the ongoing problems and issues that had been raised and taken to the housing ombudsman. At which point Green Square Court initiated this legal action debacle, frivolous action that's cost them probably nearly 20k by now. So then ITV rang me and you speak to a booker. And she said, Ben, we've heard what you're doing. We love what you're doing. Not sure how they heard of me. I think I'd put some of their other contacts. It had filtered through in emails and updates. But anyway, they contacted me out of the blue. We had a long conversation over the phone. And I explained about lots of things. I said, what I can do is I can send you lots of information. I can email you those. I can email you photographs and I can do all of this. Now, where I was up in the north of England, hotspotting into my phone, it wasn't possible to send all documents. I sent her the photographs, so she had enough of that. That was on a Friday. I came back on the Sunday, and on the Monday evening, ITV turned up. We did the interview. I said to the guy, what's next? He said, well, next we'll go to Green Square Court because it's to give them the right to reply. What we'll get is a sort of Pavlovian response. Oh, we're very sorry that we've upset residents and it's not a service we provide, yiddle yaddle. That was what was expected. However, a couple of days later, I get a different call from ITV. And this lady who had been really friendly and we had a really good chemistry between us, a really good chat. She was definitely a little bit aloof. And she said, I've had Steve Hayes emailing me at midnight last night, and I've had a phone call with him. You've bombarded them with calls and stuff. And I said, okay. I said, look, before you go rattling off what Steve Hayes has said, I said to you when I was up north that I was going to send you the information. I'm happy to send that information because now I'm back at home, I've got the Mac and it will go. Well, I can do that. Ben, yeah. Bit more friendly, son. Yeah, Ben, that would be very good. So I did that. She read it. She shared it with the lawyers at ITV, and the lawyers at ITV came back. And the next call I had from her, she was back on that really friendly tone. She said to me, this guy is really taking it personal against you. You got to be careful. He's just an idiot. He's just a weak man. It doesn't bother me. But he is vocal. So ITV then made the informed decision based upon the facts that I had provided and the hearsay and a lip flapping from Steve Hayes, and decided actually we're going to go with the documented version of events, which is everything he said is founded. The court case has been dismissed. It's nonsense. So the ITV went ahead. It'll obviously be in a link, so keep pushing it. Then more recently, I was invited by 4 Million Homes. Again, I had a lovely phone call with whose name I forget now, and it's not about name and names. She was perfectly fine. We had a great conversation talking about service charge abuse. And I said, well, actually, I kind of sit in the middle of this because service charge abuse has gotten out of hand. You're charging far too much money for services. In most cases, you're just not providing. And I can see the damage that people withholding this money could cause. It's going to cause problems for the housing providers, and it's going to further lead to deteriorating stock and woeful housing conditions. So I genuinely sit right in the middle of this. I've got a dog in the game. I can see this one. So I was there with another resident. I don't know who she was. Bless her. There's nothing against her. I can't remember who she was. Who was part of a resident committee. Then we had SHAC, Social Housing Action Campaign. Now, I would have said, and I think I did say it at that time, they're far more militant than me, therefore I fit nicely into the middle ground. So they had sort of, three sides of the argument, if you like, there, with me firmly in the middle. We had this great discussion. There was some exchanges about, do you want slides? Is it just presenting to screen, talking? How long do you want? All of that was done, so we're all ready to go. And then they published it online, on LinkedIn and Twitter. Steve Hayes got involved. So he's then emailed me, and then they've gone, oh no, we can't deal with you, legal action, but can't deal with you. I said, this is Green Square Court. This is all over the place. It's Green Square Court, isn't it? Yes, it is. Yeah, we've spoken to them. Yeah, they because of the legal action. There isn't any legal action. I said, and I offered to share with them. And then their boss, I'll put his name in the thing because he's worth naming and shaming. Bearing in mind there's 4 million homes have taken government funding. They're the Department of Levelling Up. There's about £500,000 on the table for them. And yet they're being told how to act by a housing provider. There's a blog written up about it. I'll put the link in the comments there. It just struck me as incredibly short-sighted and gave a further example of how incestuous it all is. And the fact that they didn't have the intelligence to go, well, we're going to make our own decision on this. Ben, can you provide us your supporting evidence? Steve Hayes has flapped his lips and said that. What's your response to this so we can make an informed decision? No, they didn't want that. They wanted to save face by me providing them with a video. Well, I'm not going to give them a final edit on a video that represents me. The whole point of me being there was to answer the questions and answers from the audience, which was supposedly being made up of residents disgruntled and upset and frustrated by their service charge. Anyway, I then said, well, no, not doing that. If you don't want to have me on board, then don't have me on board. That's entirely your choice. I think it is a shame that you are being directed by a housing provider. So you're kind of... I nearly said something I wasn't going to say, so we'll leave that. And then at that point, Shaq Suze, who I have utmost respect for, and it's brought me and Shaq a lot closer together. She said, well, no, if you're going to edit, if you're going to censor people, we're not interested. Excuse me. These next episodes will be a little bit slicker. So Shaq pulled out, and in the end, I don't know what they did. Shaq and I had a call, our own call with almost, I don't know, a load of residents there, and we talked about service charges and other issues. I was very much sort of sat and introduced myself on that one. So it has brought Shaq and I closer, which has been great, and I think we needed that. But all of that gave me the thing, well, hang on a minute. If I'm not welcome on your stage, I'm going to build my own, because we need to give a voice to the residents. And if you're dictated to by housing providers, you're not independent and you're not representing their voice. You've proven who represents you. China Institute of Housing, no time. You've proven where you sit. You're all about events. Everyone, there's all these events and these, we'll come to this conference, come to that conference. You're spending our service charge on days out so you can network, so you can catch up with old friends, so you can have a day out of the office, maybe a night in a hotel. It's not on. So I built my own stage. And this is that first block of that stage. The Housing Sector Podcast. We can bring other people on if they want to. We can highlight their issues. And we can reach a wider audience. That is my third reason. So if you didn't want it, thanks Steve Hayes for it.
Epilogue. In conclusion and coming soon.
Okay, so there are the 3 reasons as to why the housing sector has set up a podcast. I hope they make sense to you. I hope you agree with them. I promise you better production value. Please forgive me. I have spent the last 2.5 days looking for cables, microphones, lights, cameras. It's been an absolute nightmare. You should see the state of the house where I've been looking for stuff. So I promise you better production value. The content isn't going to be a problem. I have loads of content. I am so passionate about social housing now, considering I wasn't even involved in it since 2016. I got involved when I first just raised a simple complaint about lifts that weren't working, water leaks and doors that didn't shut. That was how it started, and here we are. So it's a journey that I continue to be on. I have loads of passion. I have loads of content. I can speak ad nauseum about housing providers, the impact on tenants, the benefits, the downfalls, the behaviours. A lot of these behaviours we need to stop. And if you're going to be transparent, we've got a long way to go. So there's no problem with content. I'm not sure how long, after probably 1 a month to start with, but they're going to get slicker, going to get a better production. And let me know. Let's open up. I'll put comments open on the comments. I'll upload it to the housing sector website, so you've got it there. Could probably put comments on there as well. And of course, it will be across multiple platforms as an audio podcast, where again, you can put comments and I will try and channel all this data and traffic into one source. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Here we go. Let's go. Housing Sector Podcast. Wait for episode 2.
Thank you for listening to the Housing Sector Podcast. We hope you found this episode insightful and engaging. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends and colleagues. Your support helps us continue to bring you the latest updates and discussions on housing issues. Stay tuned for our next episode, And don't forget to follow us on our social media sites for more content and updates.